meaning that he feels that there is a prima facie case and he is looking for a conviction. And therefore, the likelihood that there is going to be a conviction at that point must be, I think, the threshold is 75% or above. So at that time, this person is charged and they are going probably to get a conviction until you have had the case. So when a plea bargaining comes in, it is not out of nothing. It is not out of forcing an innocent person to go to prison or to take the burden of the trial. It is because the person has weighed the chances and seen that there are chances that 75% I am going to be convicted in this matter. And therefore, if the Law Society of Kenya is represented here, I would therefore like to urge them that we look at cases in a very objective manner as we approach plea bargaining. We used to be told at the university those days that it is good to give an honest advice to a client, rather than that we go and spend 3 years in court, advise the client that you can spend 2 years in prison and come out and do your other businesses if we go for plea bargaining and you plead guilty. Because the DPP has assessed your case and he is 75% convinced that you are going in. I have also looked at your case and I feel that 55% you are going in. Therefore, if we go for plea bargaining, it is going to reduce the time that you're going to spend in court. You are likely to go to prison if this is a very serious offense, but the time you spend in court and afterwards get convicted and go to prison, and the time you are likely to spend in prison and be done with this matter, it is worth it.
The issue of plea bargain and diversion of, plea bargain, actually, if we look at what is happening with corruption, we have so many cases that are still pending in court. If you look at the crime, I don't want to say normal crime. I've not been taught in criminology. Sometimes I hear this is a normal crime. So I want to ask myself, which is a normal crime? To me, crime is crime. Of course, there's white-collar crime, blue-collar crime. If you look at our prisons today, if you look at our court system, we are in a blame game. We complain the judiciary is not working very fast on our cases, whether they are of crime, blue-collar crime, or it's corruption or other form of crime. We feel shy to say, can we do a plea bargain? Can we have an ADR? We have a misconception that taking these routes is an element of giving in to criminals. But look at certain cases. There are cases in this country that started when I was a bachelor. Today my children are almost getting married. They have not been concluded. Where are we heading to? Dorcas, where's Goldenberg? It's almost over. It started in 19... when I was a young man. Now I'm a bald-headed guy.
Of the plea bargaining guidelines and the diversion guidelines cannot be overstated. What I want to assure the public is that this process will be a process of integrity, and that we will, in every step that we make, publicize the reasons as to why, especially in public interest cases, we have entered into plea bargaining agreements or conducted a diversion. It is not for purposes of entering into, as Mr. Ondari clearly spelled out here, into deals, especially in corruption cases. And I want to emphasize on that. We have had several offers because of the misconception and misunderstanding of what plea bargaining entails, either through the ESCC or the DCI's office or my office, for a lot of people who we have charged in corruption cases to enter in plea bargaining agreements. They misunderstand the concept itself, that one, you're required to plead guilty, and upon that then we will look at the other issues that are there. to either reduce the sentences or look for other negotiating points that will make whatever sentence that would have been meted out lighter. But we have emphasized that when it comes to restitution and compensation, that amount stolen, that will not be negotiable at all. Sentencing issues, we are going to emphasize that those, especially those, and I'm emphasizing on issues of corruption, because a lot of people think that they can jump on this bandwagon and get out of the processes in terms of prosecuting graft. And I know there's a lot of apprehension out there that plea bargaining will be utilized to get some of these people off the hook. I want to assure the public that this will not be the case. So we will put in place systems that will ensure there is integrity in the process. And we are starting with our own prosecutors. And I urge that investigators and other stakeholders also ensure that the process is of integrity, including the judiciary that will play a key role in finalizing the plea bargaining process. Diversion for us, and especially me, I hope will be able to be utilized by the common mwananchi who cannot afford to get themselves good defense counsels, for example, or be able to pay the fines that are expected. That we will emphasize that on petty crimes especially, that the poor mwananchi, the mwananchi who's out there, is given priority to opt to enter into diversion. So we will be investing in ensuring that it benefits the common mwananchi and not the big fishes out there. I think Honorable Andai enumerated the case of Family Bank, which was a test case for us, especially when I came into office. And we entered into a plea bargaining agreement, considering that the bank is a legal person, and you might not necessarily have the whole bank in serving terms somewhere. We decided to enter into a plea bargaining agreement with them, and they paid a hefty amount, which will be used for restitution, especially because they were involved in one of the NYS cases. So we are looking into ways and means of giving that money back to NYS into a project that will benefit the youth. And on that line, the Office of the ODPP is setting up a prosecution fund, which we're in the process of putting it up, to have these monies sit in the prosecution fund and for them to be utilized effectively where they're supposed to be utilized, so that there will be a monitoring and evaluation process of how those funds and proceeds have been returned back.
Of the PLEAD program, and so at this particular juncture, I'd like to welcome Ms. Charity Kagwe from the UNODC to be able to give her remarks. Welcome, Madam Charity.
And may I first correct, remember, I do not control a lot of money. I think what happens is that you control a lot of money. You as DPP's office, in your hands, the power to change the justice system in Kenya, to make it more pro-poor, more to reach out to the most common of the mwananchi. And so, Director of Prosecutions, Head of these two very important initiatives that have been led through the Office of the Director of Prosecutions, the plea bargain and the diversion. What kind of policies are supposed to make the system, the justice program, the justice system more reaching out to Wanjiko, aid delivery in Kenya is delivered in partnership between the government of Kenya, the European Union. The purpose of this program, which has been developed, as I said earlier, in conjunction with all, and the use of alternatives to imprisonment. The XPP just told me earlier that when it comes to prosecutions, it is not alternative to the prison system, or you enter the justice system which will take you towards prison. So we are glad to support you. What we have done, working alongside ODPP and support the renowned illustrator Paul Kalemba Mado, whose artistic skills has helped explain the legal concepts in a way from all the justice sector. It's good to see the witness protection units, the judiciary, and all the actors here.
That we have a large representation of the members of the 4th Estate here, because when I received that invitation from the CRJ, I was wondering that one of the biggest drawbacks is how